When faith rises within you, something powerful begins to shift in the unseen. The battles that once felt impossible suddenly become opportunities for God to reveal His strength, and fear loses its voice when faith takes its rightful place at the center of your heart. Every storm that once terrified you becomes a pathway for God to display His glory in your life. There are moments when fear tries to convince you that you are alone, forgotten, and overwhelmed. But faith whispers a different truth, that God has never left your side, not even for a second. He walks with you through every valley, stands with you in every fire, and surrounds you with peace even when the world feels unsafe. When you allow faith to rise, you stop fighting battles with your own strength and start allowing God to step into the battlefield for you. The weight that once crushed your spirit begins to lift, and the fear that once paralyzed your decisions begins to melt away because faith never works alone. It invites the presence of the Almighty into your situation. Some battles were never meant for you to fight by yourself. They were designed for God to fight for you. And when you let Him take over, you begin to see victory where you once saw defeat. You begin to see light where everything looked dark, and you begin to see hope where fear tried to build its throne. Fear always exaggerates. It tells you the worst story, the worst outcome, the worst possibility. But faith reveals truth. Faith reminds you that God is bigger than the attack, stronger than the mountain, and greater than the storm. Faith reminds you that no weapon formed against you will prosper when God is your defender. Every time fear rises, it rises because it knows you are close to something great. Fear doesn't attack small destinies. It attacks big ones. It tries to intimidate you right before your breakthrough. It tries to distract you right before your blessing. But when faith rises, fear loses its influence. There is a power that activates when you choose faith over fear. It is not human power. It is divine. It is the strength that comes when heaven backs your steps, the courage that comes when God commands your destiny, and the confidence that grows when you realize that God has already gone before you and prepared victory. When God fights your battles, you don't need to see the whole plan. You don't need to know how everything will work out. You only need to trust that He is working behind the scenes. What looks delayed is often God preparing a greater victory. What looks like rejection is often God's protection. What looks like defeat is often the setup for a comeback. When you choose faith, you give God permission to turn what was meant to break you into what will build you. You give Him access to rewrite your story, restore your peace, and realign your footsteps. You give Him room to transform your fear into fierce courage. Fear is loud, but God is louder. Fear is intimidating, but God is invincible. Fear tries to shrink your life, but God expands it. Fear tries to stop you, but God pushes you into purpose. Every time you feel fear rising, remember that faith is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to trust God in spite of it. Your story is not over because fear visited you. Your destiny is not canceled because doubt tried to whisper lies into your heart. God is still the author, and He never hands His pen to fear. He never rewrites your destiny based on your emotions. He writes it based on His promises. When faith rises, your spirit begins to breathe again. Your confidence returns, your hope comes alive, your inner strength becomes unshakable. You begin to carry peace that makes no sense to those around you, and you walk with a quiet fire, knowing that God is in control even when everything looks uncertain. You may feel like you are fighting alone, but you are not. God is standing beside you in every moment. He is shielding you, guiding you, and strengthening you. Even when you can't see Him, He is there. Even when you don't feel Him, He is working. Even when you don't hear Him, He is speaking through His presence. Your past does not disqualify your faith. Your struggles do not disqualify your breakthrough. God specializes in using the most unlikely people for the greatest victories, and He is not finished with you. The fear you feel today will become the testimony you share tomorrow. When you choose faith over fear, you silence every lie of the enemy. You declare that God is your warrior, your protector, your refuge, and your present help in times of trouble. You declare that no fear can stand against a God who parts seas, breaks chains, heals wounds, and resurrects what was dead. Faith is not always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper. Sometimes it's the quiet courage to keep going. Sometimes it's the prayer you pray with tears in your eyes. Sometimes it's the decision to get out of bed and try again. But even in its smallest form, faith is stronger than fear. God does not need your perfection. He needs your surrender. When you surrender your fear, he fills you with peace. When you surrender your anxiety, he fills you with assurance. When you surrender your battles, he fills you with victory. You don't have to understand everything to trust God. You don't need all the answers to step forward. You don't need to feel strong to take the next step. Faith grows in movement, in surrender, and in choosing God when fear tries to hold you back. Fear will always knock. You don't have to open the door. Let faith answer. Let God answer. Let his presence be your shield. Let his voice be your anchor. Let his love be your courage. You are not defined by your fear. You are defined by the God who stands with you. And he is undefeated. He has never lost a battle, and he never will. When he fights for you, no enemy can overpower you. No storm can drown you. And no darkness can consume you. Allow your faith to rise above the storm. Let it rise above the voices of doubt. Let it rise above your past. Let it rise above the fear that tries to steal your peace. The higher your faith rises, the smaller your fears become. Every battle you are facing has a divine purpose. Every challenge is shaping you. Every delay is preparing you. Every setback is positioning you. Do not fear the battle. God is already in it with you. And when he fights, you win. Faith is choosing to believe that God is making a way even when you don't see one. Faith is choosing to trust when the answer hasn't arrived yet. Faith is choosing peace over panic, hope over despair, and courage over fear. You are stronger than what tried to break you. You are braver than what tried to silence you. You are chosen, protected, and surrounded by the God who commands the winds and waves. And that same God is commanding your life into victory. Hold on to faith even when fear screams. Hold on to faith even when everything shakes. Hold on to faith because God has never failed his children, and he will not start with you. When faith rises, fear falls. When God steps in, battles end. When he fights for you, victory is not just possible, it is guaranteed. Let your heart rest. Let your spirit breathe. Let your fear fall. Let your faith rise and let God fight this battle for you. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. Your victory is already written, and your faith is the key that unlocks what God has prepared for you.